everybody, today we're debating Flat Earth, and we're starting right now. Ladies and gentlemen, thrilled to have you here for another epic debate. Oh boy, it's been a wild one already, folks. It's going to be a lot of fun. Lots and lots of fun. Want to let you know, if it's your first time here, consider hitting that subscribe button, as we have a lot of debates. We love to debate, controversial topics especially. If you're sick like us, you found the right spot. So don't forget to hit that notification bell as well. You'll see on the bottom right of your screen, for example, we're very excited. Destiny and Vaush will be facing off in person in March. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, want to let you know, I am putting the links for the speakers in the description right now. So we did have to switch over to this new little link over here because of a couple of technical difficulties, but you know what? We're fighters, folks. We always make it. So we are happy to have our speakers here, as what we're going to do is have a kind of typical format in which our dearest friend, TJump, will be following Wotan's case for the flat earth. In other words, Wotan will have about an 8 to 10 minute opening statement that he'll be able to make, and then our dear friend Wotan will make his statement, Wotan will make his opening statement followed by Tom. And with that, Wotan, glad to have you. The floor is all yours.
All right, how you doing, everybody? I'm just gonna keep it simple, like I always do. I've been debating this topic for, I don't know, maybe 3 years now. Still have yet to get an answer to my questions. Debated Team Skeptic and Fight the Flat Earth about, water adhering to the exterior of a shape due to gravity alone. Still out, Team Skeptic's evidence was erroneous. I proved that. Fight the Flat Earth's evidence for air around a object in a vacuum is erroneous because he's invoking electromagnetism to prove that gravity can do what electromagnetism can do. Electromagnetism is 10 to the power of 36 times more powerful than gravity. I think that's quite preposterous to say that gravity can do anything that electromagnetism can do when you have such an enormous, unimaginably large proportion of difference between the strength of gravity and electromagnetism. It's literally like proving that an infant can lift up an 18-wheeler truck because a forklift can. It's just I just don't see how we can logically conclude that atmosphere could do that in a vacuum just because electromagnetism can. I think I'm just going to shift it right to TJump, and if he's got any evidence, because this is what I want to get into. I want to get into evidence. I already know TJump is going to probably want to get into epistemology. I really am not even really concerned with epistemology. I want evidence. I want him to actually present actual evidence for his claims that he believes that water is sticking to the spinning, flying, gyrating, tilting, wobbling, soaring, shooting ball Earth, which is flying millions of miles an hour through space. And none of it flies off, none of it goes off, none of it goes anywhere. You have all these contradictory forces and motions and that are going on that I mean, like, do you have any evidence for anything that that this is real, like water on the wall Earth or gas in a vacuum? Or are we just gonna get into
sure, we can. That one's pretty simple. Like, you grant that when we take a plane up into the air and we just drop it straight down, we can get like an anti-gravity kind of an effect, right? So you can just like float and it looks like we're in space. So when we drop water in that anti-gravity space while falling in a plane, well, it clumps together in a ball, just like it does on the Earth. That's how it sticks. Because when you
right, but that's not with gravity, though.
It works the exact same way. I can just demonstrate it just by in that one example. So if we're in an area that appears to work like a vacuum when we're just falling, and we like squirt some water out, guess what shape it goes into? A ball. Oh God! And the twisting and all of the vibrating and the falling, and that's still a ball. It just goes into a ball of water in the middle of the fall.
So you're presupposing that because water can do this in an airplane, that's what's happening with the water on the Earth, that gravity is strong enough to hold thousands of quadrillions of tons of water on it while it's spinning and flying and accelerating, mind you, through the universe at these preposterously ridiculous speeds that nobody can even imagine how fast we're moving right now. Meanwhile, nobody feels anything moving. You just presuppose that the Earth is round, and then you're using this water forming a sphere, which really has nothing to do with gravity, and then using that to prove that that can happen on a planet.
Right. Yeah. So we know the world's round because we've actually been to space. We can see it. You can just rent a balloon and just tie a camera to it and just let it go up into the atmosphere, and you can see the curve for yourself. I mean, it's like in the next 50, 20 years.
Wow, that's interesting.
So in the next 20 years, you can actually buy a plane
let's touch
ticket.
on that.
Wait. So in the next 20 years, you can buy a plane ticket to actually go to space and see it for yourself. In any direction you go in, you will never find an edge. You could buy a plane yourself and just fly, and you'll never find.
Right, but that doesn't mean that the Earth is not flat. Now, let me touch on that for a second. So first of all, Neil deGrasse Tyson says himself that you can't see the curve of the Earth at that altitude. Okay, so the world. So you're smarter than the world's leading astrophysicist. You're telling me knowledge that the world's leading astrophysicist would disagree with you on.
No, he would agree with me on that, but I'm not.
No, but he said something that is completely opposite to what you said.
I can't defend Neil deGrasse Tyson's position here. I'm here to.
No, but that's what the world's leading astrophysicist on the face of the Earth has said.
He agrees with me.
So well, I do care what he says. I'm sorry, because he's affecting millions of people's lives. He's literally changing the consciousness and the way that people think about every single person on Earth listens to it. So I do care what he says.
That's great. I'm not him.
Gentlemen, hold on a second. Okay, I promise we'll get Neil deGrasse Tyson on for the next debate. Well, one second, we'll give you a chance to make your case, Wotan, and then we'll give Tom his chance as well. If we have to do the 2 minute and 2 minute switcheroo like we did.
I said that I wanted to touch on what he said.
Okay,
right.
The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. So Neil deGrasse Tyson. I got into this debate also with the atheist experience, and they were like flabbergasted. They were like left like stunned in like shock. Like you should see the look on their face when I called into the atheist experience and told them the exact same thing. They were like, "Oh, well, I see the curve when I go out in an airplane. You can see the curve." And I'm like, "Oh, well, yeah, that's interesting." Since Neil deGrasse Tyson says you absolutely cannot, it's impossible to see the curve of the Earth in an airplane, and he also says it's impossible at 128,000 feet. You cannot see the curve of the Earth at that altitude. You just can't. It's just too large. You understand? So if you're going to tell me that you could see the curve of the Earth at that altitude, you're either Neil deGrasse Tyson is wrong, or the Earth is far smaller than what Neil deGrasse Tyson knows it to be, what every single astrophysicist on the Earth knows it to be. And you look up videos online right now, 128,000 feet up in the air. There is absolutely no curve whatsoever. The horizon is flat and at eye level. Okay, at all times. It doesn't matter if you're on a ball. It doesn't matter what shape it is. If you go up, the horizon is going to drop down. Period. End of story. The fact that it does not drop down is evidence that the Earth is flat. Now, again, do you have evidence that water can adhere to the exterior of a shape by virtue of gravity alone?
Yes.
Do you have a scientific experiment to prove that?
We can literally see it happening. We just like go into a plane, fall, squeeze the water out, and poof, it sticks together. Boom, done. So
right, but that doesn't mean that water is that's ridiculous. That's not a scientific experiment that concludes the fact that water is on the Earth.
Literally, we can put some like mud there. We can drop the mud first and then squirt the water, and the water will stick to the mud.
Okay, how about this? Let's say you were trying to prove, like scientifically, right? You were trying to come up with a scientific experiment to absolutely conclusively prove that water is around the Earth, right? And the Earth is flying millions of miles an hour through space. And in order for you to prove this with a scientific experiment, is you say, "Oh well, raindrops."
Raindrops. No,
raindrops is the same thing. It's the same exact effect as why it deforms a sphere. It's the same exact effect as why.
I have no idea what you're going to say. We know how gravity works. Gravity causes objects with mass to pull together.
But you're trying to tell me that your claim that water falling in an airplane in those zero-G planes, it forming a sphere, is evidence that water can adhere, not just form a sphere, it's adhering to the Earth because the Earth is moving, mind you. Okay.
Right. So that's easily
millions of miles an hour
water
through space
can form a ball in a moving, like tumultuous area and still remain in a ball. Like that's
tumultuous. It's not tumultuous. The water in the when they do those experiments, it's in a container. First of all.
Correct.
Right.
So space is like an empty thing. There's no thing there. So anything moving in space is like in a container because there's nothing to.
Oh, it's like so empty. So now emptiness is a container now too.
Yes, that's correct. Emptiness is a container.
This is ridiculous. This is what the globe has got to resort to. They got to say that emptiness is a container now.
I mean, yeah.
Wow,
so
that's cool.
If there's no friction, then that's like there's a container protecting it from the friction.
So nothing is a container. So I could pour a glass into air.
No.
I don't need glasses anymore. Why do we need to drink out of a glass? I could just pour glass into an air.
Let me go through the argument. Stop interrupting. So, like, if you have a container like a car and you don't feel anything inside of the car when you're moving, it would be the same thing as if you were moving and there was nothing outside of you. Then you also would not feel anything. So the fact that there is a container that protects you from any outside forces like the air. If there was no air, then the car wouldn't need to protect you. You still wouldn't feel it. So no air would cause no friction, and a protect.
Well, no one's saying that I wouldn't feel it.
1 second.
That's the point.
I do want to ask.
You could have a ball of water falling through nothing, and it would stay together. And you have a ball of water falling through a container, and it would stay together, because a shell protecting you from the wind and no wind has the same effect.
1 second, Tom. Just to be sure we can hear you, is that your volume is a little bit lower. Either if Tom, if you can turn your gain up a little bit, or it could be Wotan. Wotan, if you're able to turn your gain down just a little bit on your mic, in case that might be it. But there is like a difference in volume There's a little volume discrepancy. By the way, TJump's dad is in the live chat right now. Steve McCrae, good to see ya. If you haven't heard, folks, the word on the streets is it sounds like Steve McCrae will be kind of like Barbossa in the Pirates of the Caribbean, where he finally took the helm back. He was at the helm of the Black Pearl again. Well, Steve McCrae will be at the helm of the Non Sequitur show soon. That's in the works. So it's just a matter of time. We're excited for that. We will hopefully do a collab to kind of help them resurrect it, to get their debates going on there again. That'll be a lot of fun. There have been a lot of great debates on there. And so, yes, go ahead, guys. Pardon my interruption.
So Steve McCrae is actually your dad?
No, James makes up chronologies all the time. Makes up genealogies.
Oh, man. Okay.
So, again, we can
I
literally
can't tell if that was a troll or not.
I'm just made it up. I made it up.
Okay. I was actually curious. I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, don't listen to anything James says. Most of it's not all crap. All of it's crap. So, so again, we can literally see the world is round. And you asked for like testable predictions that could show the world is round. We can literally just go to space and turn around and see it.
Okay, so that's okay. Let's get into my we'll get into my images now. So that's where I'm going to show you how the images of Earth are fake.
I don't care. Like,
can I share screen? Oh, you don't care. Oh, you don't care about images being fake. Okay, well, I do. I'm sorry, I do.
Remember.
I don't know about you, but I actually care about when NASA lies. I care when NASA lies, and NASA's telling us lies. I care about that. I don't know if you don't care about that, but I do.
Let's do.
Oh, you don't care. Well, then I don't want to focus on somebody who doesn't care about NASA lying to us.
Wotan, let's just give Tom a chance to respond. We'll come right back to you. We promise, Wotan.
He's just going to say he doesn't care.
No.
Wait, that's not it. We'll give him a little bit.
Stop. So you asked for evidence. Evidence is testable predictions. Testable predictions isn't pictures. So my testable predictions is you can buy a plane or rent a ticket in the next 20 years to go to space yourself and turn around and see it. Like, you could be an astronaut. You can go to space. Anybody could potentially do this and see it. It is round. Like, I don't care what the picture says. What NASA says. This is a testable prediction. And you can,
you literally said before that
well, hold on one
second. You literally just said he's
just
done. He's at the downslope of his sentence. He's done, man.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure. Okay, go ahead, Wotan.
You could tell in the tonality of his voice, he's going down.
All right, I know. You've been aggressive, though. Go ahead, Wotan. The floor is yours.
So you literally, I mean, you could rewind this tape right now. You literally just said that we can go back, we can turn around and see the Earth. So that would entail that you're using this footage of satellites in space being able to turn around and look at the Earth as evidence of the Earth being round. And I'm telling you, I'm going to show you that those are fake. And now you're saying, oh, well, that doesn't matter.
Said anything
well, that's kind of contradictory, isn't it?
There was nothing in my argument that I never mentioned pictures at all. I said I made a testable prediction that we can go to space, turn around and see it. Where did I mention pictures in any of that? Where are the pictures?
Well, I mean, I'm sorry if I confused what you said, but it sounded like what you said was that we can, like, currently now have, you were trying to, like, infer that we can currently at this day turn around and look at the Earth and see that it's round.
Yeah, that's how testable.
About what you said?
Do you understand what a testable prediction is? Like,
yes.
A prediction is saying that here is something we can do now, and we do it, and then it'll happen in the future, and then it'll have some result. So I didn't say anything about pictures. I said we can literally get in a spaceship, go to space, turn around.
So you're inferring to the future.
Yes.
You're inferring to the
That's-
future. You have
that's
no
what-
evidence right
that's-
now.
that's
Yo,
what
are you
predictions
literally
mean.
trying to?
One
Excuse me.
One
Are you
sec.
literally trying to tell me that in 20
Wotan,
years
I
you're going
do
to be
have
able
to
to
be
prove it? You
sure.
can't prove it now.
Wotan, just to be
Whoa,
sure that
whoa.
we get to hear each one.
I mean, how dishonest are you being right now?
Let's give him a chance.
No. Again, so a prediction. You said you know what a prediction is. The predict, the pre part, the pre. That means we have to do it before, so we have to be referring to the future. That's kind of what prediction means. So we have to make a prediction and then confirm the prediction, and then that's how evidence works.
So you're a
evidence is to
gypsy now. You're a
confirm-
scientific gypsy. You're predicting the
What?
future.
That's. What do you again? So you said you know what a prediction is. Could you?
You should name
tell me
yourself
what
T.
what
Gypsy.
you think a
It should be
prediction
T.
is?
Gypsy.
Like,
Sick as gypsy.
how do you think science works? Like, so
Not gypsy magic. I'm sorry. I live in the current world, the current day. I want evidence right now, this second now. I don't want you to tell me that in 20 years we've been able to. No, it's bullshit. Okay.
yeah, we've done
bullshit.
it. We've already
I don't want to
confirmed
hear
it, like,
none of
many,
this shit.
many times.
Oh,
We
in
can go and
20
see it.
years we're going to
Anybody
be able
can
to
see
prove
it.
it. No,
Anybody can go
now,
buy a
now.
balloon.
I
We
want
have
you
all
One
that.
sec.
now,
One sec.
right now, to prove that the Earth is round. Not 20 years from now.
Yeah, so we've literally gone to space. We have things on the moon that we've placed there
Okay,
that you can
exactly. So
verify,
exactly. So you're using excuse me. You're using the NASA, which I'm telling you, I'm going to show you that
I
they're
didn't
fake.
say anything about
You're-
NASA.
You're
When did I
invoking. Who
mention
went to the
NASA?
moon then? Who went to the
When
moon?
did I,
You just
when did I
invoked
mention
NASA.
I didn't mention anything about NASA. So
You said
so
the moon.
we
You
can-
said we went to the moon.
no, they placed a
sec.
refractor on the moon, and we can literally test it.
You
by
said
pointing a
we
laser.
sec.
went to the moon.
One sec.
Great.
Wotan.
Yes, we did. I don't care.
Okay, so you're invoking NASA. Who else
No,
went to the moon?
I
Nobody
didn't say
except
anything
us.
about
Okay,
NASA. So
okay.
again, slow down. Listen
But
to the
nobody
argument
else went to the
carefully.
moon except us.
Wotan.
I don't care about NASA. I didn't say anything about NASA. So
But
don't bring up
nobody
NASA.
went to the
All
moon.
right.
If you're saying
Wotan,
that we
hold on
went to
one
the
second.
moon,
Wotan,
Let's
forgive me.
listen to the
Wotan,
argument,
I'm
Wotan.
so
Shut up,
sorry.
Wotan.
Wotan, I just want to, forgive me for muting you. I just want to give Tom a chance to, we'll give him like a minute, and I promise we'll come back to you for another 60 seconds of your own. Okay,
So
here we
we
go.
know we've gone to the moon because they placed a refractor up there, and we can point a laser at it. Anybody can get a powerful enough laser, point it at the refractor, and the refractor will reflect the light back at us. So we can literally test that there has been someone on the moon. I don't care if it was NASA. It makes no difference to my argument who was there. Could have been the space lizards or whatever the flat earthers believe, but we know we've been to the moon, and we placed a refractor there that we can test and see. And so, like, yeah, I don't care about NASA.
What does a refractor on the moon have anything to do with the shape of the Earth?
We've been to space. We can go to space and see it.
Again, so you're invoking NASA, which is a space
didn't
agency,
say
which is
NASA.
the world's
No,
leading
I did
number
not say
one
NASA.
space administration
That's
on
not how
Earth. So
arguments
again,
work.
you're
That's not how
invoking
arguments
NASA, and I would like to share my screen
don't
and
care.
show you that NASA's proof is
I
not
never said
admissible
NASA.
as evidence because I can
Okay.
literally prove
So,
right now that their
I think-
images are
never,
fake.
well,
I never said
Wotan.
NASA.
James, I want to present my screen. I don't
Wotan.
care what he says. I want to present my screen. How about that?
All
I
right,
wanna
we'll
show the
give,
audience.
we'll give you your 60 seconds. So yes, if you want to share your screen, we'll go
Okay,
ahead and we'll put
because
the
I want to show
pictures.
I don't care that he doesn't care about the truth. I care about the truth, and I want to show the audience that NASA is not credible as a source of information. They are full of shit. They're a bunch of liars, like they've always been, and just another government administration. They're all liars. Okay, I'm going to show you right now.
Okay.
Am I sharing?
Yep, I've got it. Let's see. I'm just gonna squeeze it in the picture because it's a little bit. We usually set it to be a little bit larger than it actually is. So we're almost there. Give me a sec. Okay, I've got. We see a gentleman with a cowboy hat on.
The cowboy? Okay. This image may look real to anybody who first sees this image, but it's completely and utterly fake. He says it here. This image was actually used as a Kenwood radio show. Apparently Kenwood sells walkie-talkies and such, and they use this completely edited photoshopped image to promote and advertise their radios, their walkie-talkies. So this guy, he basically analyzes this photo, and he says that the hat is fake, the arm is fake. I could show you that the arm is fake. You see here, like these sharp lines. This is obviously photoshopped. This sharp line here, this sharp line here. His arm, this arm isn't even his arm. Okay, the radio is put in there. The arm is fake. His face is photoshopped on there. His hat is photoshopped on his head. The background is fake. Everything is fake about this image. And also, you see this spot right here? This is also fake. He actually says down here somewhere that this might have been a mistake on his part. He probably used the color picker on this guy's face and had the brush tool and accidentally clicked here and left it there and forgot to remove it. And you can see here with the ELA signature, ELA is error level analysis. And this actually happens. Steve McRae's in the chat. So how you doing, Steve McRae? Remember the error and level analysis thing that we were talking about, that we debated with your photographic expert? Well, it goes to show you, I got some evidence to prove that all your images of NASA, of Earth from space, are completely fake, because I did a little more research into it.
Right.
And that one image that we showed on your stream that happened to have a...
1 second.
That happened to have... Excuse me. I'm showing... you're not talking. You don't care about this, so be quiet.
Right, it's a cowboy picture.
Okay, no, but you don't care about this, so be quiet. You don't care about this, so be quiet.
Let's just,
okay, no, be quiet.
Let's just give him another like 30 seconds.
Okay, mute him. Okay, this is fake. This here is fake. You can see the difference in contrast of the ELA signature, and this is how you know that this is fake. Okay, because the background doesn't resemble anything whatsoever. The face is fake. The shirt is fake. The arm is fake. That spot right here, you can see that that's fake. Okay, the difference in contrast in the ELA signature shows you that it's fake. And I'm going to show you with a real image. This is a real image, okay, of just, I Googled Adirondack Mountains, and this is one of the first images that came up. And look how consistent the ELA signature is. You can see how consistent everything is in respect to everything else. You understand? All these pixels, they're all the same because this is a real image.
Gotcha.
But, oops, now we got this one. Excuse me, now we got this one. I mean, this is actually a real image. I mean, if there's anybody in the world who looks at this image initially and says that this is real, you literally don't even have a brain inside of your head. This is the fakest thing that I have ever seen in my entire life. I don't care what you say. I don't care what we appeal to, whatever. This is absolutely fake. I play video games way too much. Okay, I know CGI when I see it. This is fake. Okay, and you can prove that it's fake with the ELA signature. Okay, you see how different this is. You see how gray and dull this is. Okay, and then oops, you see the contrast of the Earth, which points to the fact that this is fake. This is Photoshop bullshit fake. Okay, this is fake. You see how fake this moon is. You see the difference in contrast of the ELA signature in comparison to this. So that means that this is fake. This is fake. The same exact thing. What's all this shit back here? What is this garbage? This is all fake. Fake garbage. Fake NASA. If you ever cite NASA as a credible source, you automatically lose the argument, because NASA are a bunch of frauds. All they ever do is lie.
Let's give Tom plenty of time to respond. So
this is all fake.
So yeah, none of that was anything I presented. So I mean, that'd be great counter evidence for something that I didn't present. Straw man, so irrelevant. So
no, but you're invoking NASA.
We know NASA is a reliable source because they sent the International Space Station to space and satellites, and we know those are there, and you don't need pictures.
We know they're there. Wow. No. Is there any evidence of its construction?
Shut up, Wotan. So we know they're there because you can get a telescope and you can actually see them yourself.
Oh, wow.
No pictures required. Oh, good.
Cool.
So yeah, they're real. We're there. So we're done. We can literally see them. No pictures.
It doesn't mean anything.
Oh, it doesn't mean anything. We can literally see the space station, and it doesn't mean anything. Yep. Clearly. What are they doing? They put like a big sheet around the.
I know. You can. It's amazing. Excuse me. Can I speak? Can I speak on that?
Wotan, well, I just want to give him plenty of time because there were a number of points you made, and so to be fair, I do want to give Tom like a minute or two to respond to that minute or two we just gave you.
Yeah, apparently NASA is using their super advanced technology to put a big screen around the Earth and fake the fact that there's a giant space station that's floating around that we can all see from different places all over the world. And apparently all of the different corporations are working together to put this giant screen up to like hide the fact that there aren't actually satellites there. Though those are all fake, and the crashes, nope, they're all fake. Apparently they're all in this big conspiracy theory where all the companies are working together to hide the fact that, well, actually, no, all of that's fake. We don't have that, and we spend millions of dollars for no reason to delude the people to believing that the world is a sphere because people care about that for some reason. No, it's all bullshit. Obviously.
Yeah, I know. You don't care about reality. I know. You just care about, like, I don't even know what the hell you care about. If you don't care what the shape of the Earth is, there's really nothing that you can possibly care about.
Yeah, we can literally see all of these things in space. We don't need
again, you're invoking NASA. Again, and I just showed you that they're fake.
What are you
and I just showed you that they're fake with the ELA signature. I never
said anything about pictures. I never said anything about NASA. I said we can
literally see. No, you keep saying that you can see the Earth. Who else can see the Earth?
We can we can see the space station and the satellites, so we know those are up there. We know those are there.
Okay, and the satellites can see us too, no?
Yes, they can.
Okay, so I'm showing you that the images from the satellites are fake.
Start with the first one, so we can see the satellites, so we know those are in space.
I can touch on that. Okay. Can I touch on that?
That's my argument. So
okay, can I describe that? Okay, so the ISS is apparently slightly larger than a 747. Do you agree?
I haven't looked at its size. I have no idea.
It's a little bit larger than a 747. I haven't looked into the exact dimensions of a 747 compared to an ISS, but it's roughly even if you say it's 2 times larger, it doesn't matter. It's a little bit larger than a 747. Okay, so you see a 747. How high does a 747 fly up? 40,000 feet. How small is a 747 when you look up at it? 40,000 feet up in the air. It's probably, like, if you were to hold a ruler at arm length, let's say, a cubit, whatever, 2.5, you have a ruler 2.5 feet from your face, and you were to measure the length of the airplane, it would probably be less than a half an inch long. Okay, so that's at 40,000 feet. How high is the ISS? What is it? 200 miles?
250 miles.
250 miles. Let's do a comparison to that real quick. Let's do a comparison of that. 250 miles in feet. 1.32 and then 6 zeros after that. It's just ridiculous. Okay, let's see. Feet in a mile.
Okay, still waiting for the argument.
No, I'm going to show you. 5280. Okay. 5,280 feet in a mile times 250 is 1,320,000 feet.
Okay.
Divided by 40,000 feet.
Okay.
It's, look at that. A nice Illuminati number right there. Nice Illuminati number. 33,000. It's 33 times further in the sky than it is of an airplane. Like an airplane, right? You use that as the base, right?
Okay.
That's your baseline, right? And then you multiply that by 33, and that's the distance of the ISS. So it would be 33 times smaller, would it not?
I imagine so.
And a half an inch?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay, so let's do a half an inch in decimal form. That's 0.50 divided by 33. It would be
not following. Okay.
Yes, it would be point. Smaller. It would the length of it would be 0.01515, and then it just goes on 151515.
Okay. I'm still not following the argument.
So you can't even measure it on a ruler. You can't even see it. So how could you see it?
You use a telescope.
No, you said you can see it. With the naked eye. People say that they
can
see it
with
the naked eye all the time.
So you don't use a camera.
No, people say that they can see it with the naked eye all the time.
Well, yeah, if you can see the light reflecting off of it, if it's like in far enough in space, but that you can't like see that in detail. So I wouldn't use that as an argument. My argument is that you can use it. You can see it with a telescope. So you can actually see it with the telescope.
If you could see it with the naked eye, you would not. It would be impossible that it's at that distance.
No. Like if you have a giant mirror in space,
0.01515 is going to reflect enough light for you to be able to see it.
Wotan, stop. So if you have an object in space that reflects light in all directions, it doesn't matter how big it is. If you reflect enough light, you'll be able to see it. So the size isn't what's important; it's the amount of light it reflects. So people can see it with its naked eye because.
Well, you also have the atmosphere of the Earth, which is going to interfere with the amount of light that you see.
Wotan. So my argument is that you can see it with a telescope. So you don't need any pictures to see it. You can look at it through a telescope. And unless NASA has some kind of magic technology to confuse all telescopes in the world and make them see this at the same spot, then we can literally see the space station in space. Anybody can just go buy a telescope and see it.
Gotcha. Thanks so much.
Is that it? That's your argument, that it exists? Is because you can see it? Meanwhile,
it exists in space, and we can see it in space, yes.
Oh, cool. Yeah, cool.
So, I mean,
any evidence of the Earth being round, or just?
Whoa! This is just so. Do you agree that we can see the International Space Station in space? So there's.
No, I say that it's impossible to see if it's 0.0151515.
Wait! No, telescope.
Millimeters wide.
So you think you can't see it with the telescope?
You have the Earth's atmosphere in between. You understand that's going to obfuscate the amount of light that you see. Also.
Okay. So you're saying you can't see it with the telescope? Is that your argument?
No, you can't see it. People say that you can see it with the naked eye.
I don't care. That wasn't my argument. So again, my argument is that you can see it with the telescope. True or false? Do you
I don't know. I've never looked at it.
You may want to do that. We can literally see it. So that's kind of a big deal. You may want to try that one.
Kind of a big deal, and it's also kind of a big deal that there's not a shred of evidence of its construction.
So again, my argument is we can literally see the.
Isn't it kind of a big deal? How would you wonder how they will construct such a enormous space station flying around the Earth at 17,500 miles an hour? Don't you think that's a little bit ridiculous? Also, that if an object the size of a 16th of an inch wide hits the ISS at going those speeds, if they're going towards each other, it would just completely obliterate the ISS. You understand that, right? It'll pierce a hole directly straight through the ISS.
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely, and that's never happened ever. And if you also Google the amount of space debris that NASA has tracked, it literally looks like a beehive around the swarm. It looks like a swarm of bees surrounding the Earth, and the ISS just magically dodges all of these space debris without ever getting hit.
Okay, so again, my argument is that we can literally see it there. Like we can look at it. So,
yeah, but everything else it goes against it. That the fact that it should be possible in space.
Okay, but we can.
The fact that you can see it, it could be faked.
Sorry, so they put like a big screen out there to like fake it.
I don't know how they do it. Don't ask me how they do it. I don't know how they do it. I'm not NASA.
Okay, so NASA
I'm not
has the
claiming how
magic
they do
powers
it.
to fake that there's a gigantic.
I'm not
space station
claiming
out
how
there.
they do it. I'm
There's-
not. So what? Freaking what's his
Okay.
name? David Copperfield can make the Statue of Liberty disappear.
No, he can't. But
Well, he
so-
can make it seem that way, right?
yes, he can make it seem that way. That's true.
Okay,
You
so?
just turn the lights off. It's pretty simple. But
Right. Yeah.
again, so we know the space station is there. Now maybe it's not. We can say we can't see all the little details, but we know the shape is there. We know there is something of that size, and we can calculate exactly how big it is by looking at it with the size of the telescope and what the zoom is. So we know it is the exact size within the small degree of error that they say it is, and we know it's there, and we know it's in space. So we know there's space because it has to. That's where it is, or unless they're somehow supporting it some other way. So there has to be a space out there, or NASA has some kind of magic anti-gravity device to hold it up there. Maybe some strings or something that just.
Well,
tie
they
them
got
into
something
the-
pretty advanced for them to fake all that anti-gravity crap footage that they show.
Yeah,
I would love to know what they're using.
NASA's got that magic stuff. They do.
They
Up to
really
the
do.
firmament, and they just like stab some things in there, and they just attach.
I'm convinced that they have access to technologies that we can never even dream of.
Oh,
I'm
sure.
convinced of that.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's why they totally just get like 1% funding from the government. So we know it's there. So we know there's something.
Yeah,
up
1%
there
of
the exact
$500
size.
trillion a year is a lot of money. I hate when people say, "Oh, 1% of what's the total GPU of what is it?
GDP?
The gross GDP of America. 1% of that is absolutely
17
ridiculous.
trillion, 18 trillion.
Okay, yeah, so that's a lot of money. So don't they say, well, oh, it's 1%. 1% of that number is enormous. It's a lot of money. You can do anything with that money. You can do anything in the world with that money.
No. So, but again,
No,
my
yeah,
argument is
yeah.
that we can literally see it there. So they're not lying because we can literally see it there, and we can literally see the all of the different satellites. They're there. We can buy a telescope.
So
No
that's the
pictures
conclusive
required. We
evidence
don't
that
need
the
the
ISS.
pictures.
I mean, listen, I would love to talk to you about the ISS, but honestly, this is really, and even for the audience, like, I'm pretty sure the people in the chat right now, we're discussing the existence of the ISS. I really, I'm not trying to
actually
be.
reading the chat,
I'm not.
sorry.
Listen, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm really not trying to be evasive and trying to talk about something else. I'm trying to stick to the topic of the debate. The topic of the debate is flat Earth. Okay, so I want to stick to
Right.
your evidence of the Earth being round and how it can even be remotely possible that gas can exist in a vacuum, and how it could be possible that we have this water which is adhering to the exterior shape by virtue of gravity when there is no scientific experiments to prove any of it whatsoever. Do you understand that?
We can literally just go to space and see it. That's a scientific. experiment.
But you're invoking the Fairland.
No. So we can go to space. We know we can go to space because there's stuff in space that we can literally see is there. So we know we've been to space.
No, but do you understand? I'm not questioning the existence of space.
Okay.
I'm not questioning the existence of satellites in space. I'm not questioning the existence of the ISS. You are. I'm questioning the possibility of the Earth being round, and the implications of the fact that you believe that the Earth is round must mean that there are thousands of quadrillions of tons of water being able to somehow magically stick to this flying, soaring, tilting, shooting, gyrating, wobbling, soaring, orbiting ball Earth, which is flying through space at millions of miles an hour at all of these contradictory motions. It's going around the sun, and the Earth is spinning, and it's tilting, and it's gyrating, and it just all of these contradictory motions.
So
Like,
just
it
like
would
all
just
the
be
other planets.
It would be impossible that water could ever stick to this.
You mean just like the gas sticks to Saturn and Uranus and Neptune and all of those planets?
Yeah, we'll love to know how that happens. I guess, giant. How does that happen? That's also if there's no matter in Jupiter, what's holding the gas in Jupiter
Gas
to
is
make
matter.
it? Huh?
Gas is matter.
So also
Right.
the gas. So gas has as much mass or density as physical, like the Earth, like
Matter
like
is just
soil
protons,
and
neutrons,
lead
electrons.
and
So
aluminum and all of the heavy metals that are in Earth.
what? I don't know.
Gas doesn't
I don't know.
have that density.
What?
You understand that? So
Matter
it doesn't
is
have
just,
as much gravitational
matter-
effect.
Let's be sure we hear
Matter is
Tom.
just anything that has protons, neutrons, electrons. So gas is a form of matter. I don't know. I think you're saying like
Right, but it's not as
solid.
dense.
One sec,
Gas
I
is not
just-
as dense as the
let's
Earth.
give him a chance to
Right.
hash
It doesn't.
out.
It doesn't need to be as dense. The density doesn't.
No,
need to be-
it does. It does.
One
It does.
second.
No,
Yeah, it does.
no, it
Let's-
doesn't.
let's
No,
give-
no,
let's
it
give
does.
Tom-
It does.
Let's give
No,
John.
It does.
All right,
No, it
Wotan,
doesn't.
please don't
It's a
make
nice
me.
assertion, but
So
no
let's
proof
give
there.
Tom an explanation of. Let him hash this out. So let's just give him like 30 seconds to a minute, and then I promise we'll come right back to you, Wotan.
So we know space exists because we can see stuff in space, and we know that there's big planets out there that have lots of gas and liquid on those planets, and they stay on those planets pretty easily. So probably whatever's causing those planets to stay in a ball shape is also causing ours to stay in a ball shape. So if it can keep water on that planet, then it can keep water on our planet. Oh, so what is this? We don't know. This is some magical force that we haven't discovered yet. So, but that's how it's going to happen, right? So if we can do it on those planets, then we can do it on our planet.
Okay, so it has never been observed that there's. I mean, we haven't found water on any other planet. You understand that we found ice, but not water.
Well,
Not
gas
liquid
would
water.
potentially be harder to keep on the planet than water.
No, but
So
you just said that you just said that there's
Well, we
planets
have-
out there
we
with
have-
water on it.
we have
What planet has liquid water on it?
Mars.
Mars.
Yeah.
Actual liquid water.
Yeah, because the snow melts, so it does have water on it.
No,
Yeah,
when does it melt?
but
When
again,
does
so-
it melt? There's no atmosphere. The temperatures are absolutely freezing. It melts.
So no. So again, there are liquids on different planets, like Titan has liquid on it, but again, that's irrelevant because
Liquid nitrogen.
if no, stop. So
Whatever it is.
Stop. So again, the gas would be harder to keep on the planet than the water. So if it can keep gas on it, then that means it can necessarily keep water on it. So whatever's keeping the gas on the planet and whatever's holding it there can be also necessarily used to keep the water on our planet, because
So there's a lot of
harder to
presuppositions
keep
that
the
you have
gas.
there.
No, what
Yeah,
presupposition?
no, there
I
is.
didn't presuppose anything. Do you know what a presupposition even is?
Yes, I do know. You're presupposing, number one, that there is this force of gravity, and then you're
No, I didn't
presupposing
presuppose
that this
that.
force of gravity has the strength to hold
No, I
gas
didn't presuppose anything.
on the planet without any scientific evidence to prove such a
No,
thing.
no,
All
no,
you're
no.
using is observation.
So-
You
so-
can't use your
All right,
observation
let's
to
give
prove
him a
your
chance.
hypothesis.
No. Again.
We hear
So
what you're
It's
saying.
begging the
a
question.
We hear what
presupposition.
you're saying. We'll give Tom a chance.
A presupposition is something you suppose is true before the argument starts. So I made no presuppositions at that point. I just said we can look into space, so we know there's space, and we can see all the things in space, and then we can look at the planets, and the planets have gas on them, and the gas is being held there by something. No presuppositions here. This is just obviously what we are like looking at. So whatever is holding the gas on that planet could be holding the water on our planet, since whatever is holding the gas there, and it's harder to hold gas than water, means it can necessarily hold water if it can also hold gas.
But
So-
if there is not a single scientific
one sec.
experiment that
Let's
can
just
prove
give
what
him-
you're
I didn't
saying,
say
then I'm
anything.
sorry,
I didn't say
then
anything.
you're
I
wrong.
didn't
give
say
him a
anything there. I
chance.
just said we literally see the planets there. We literally see the gas. We can watch it move. We can watch the storm on Saturn spin. We know it's gas. We know it's there. And so we know it's being held on the planet in space. And so it's obviously the case that whatever's doing that could also hold the water on our planet.
Okay.
That was your
Okay.
question. Is how does the water hold on our planet? Well, it's,
Okay, so how do we falsify that claim that gas is being held on the planet due to gravity?
we could send a probe up there and just like check. Well, I didn't say again. So I didn't say gravity.
Just
I said
rely on
something.
NASA, which
said
I
something.
demonstrated to you to be not a credible source of information.
What?
You're gonna cite NASA again, which I literally
I
proved
didn't
right
say,
now that is
no,
not a
no,
credible
You
source
asked
of
how do we
information.
falsify it. You asked
I
how
literally
would we...
proved that their images are fake.
No. I didn't say anything about NASA. Remember, for you to bring up NASA, I have to actually say NASA. If I don't say
Well,
NASA,
who else is
then
gonna
you
do
can't
it?
bring that. So no. You remember, you asked how do we falsify it? How would we falsify my claim
On Earth.
Why would we just do it up from Earth? We can literally just go to space. And
So you got to go to the fairyland.
No,
it's amazing how
no.
you. Excuse me a second.
you
excuse me.
granted space
It is absolutely.
existed. You said
It
you
is
said space doesn't
amazing.
exist.
It is
What?
amazing to. Excuse me. It is amazing to me.
No.
How you people. Can I speak?
You
please?
asked.
Can I speak, please?
You asked how to falsify it, and I told you how.
That
to
doesn't
falsify
falsify anything.
We
because
could
then you have
literally
to- what you have to
send
do-
a thing there because we know space exists and we know
You
we can
have to
send things
rely
to
on that
space.
source of
One
information to
sec.
be an absolutely valid source of information that
No.
they cannot possibly ever lie to you. You understand that?
No, I mean I don't understand what you're objecting to.
Whoever's
So-
sending
so-
that probe out there, you would have to absolutely have to find some kind of a way to know that source of information is just infallible. They would never lie, which is ridiculous. That's
All
impossible.
right, let's give Tom.
Again, that was irrelevant to the point at all. So we can see
It's
that there's
absolutely
gas.
relevant. What are you
No,
talking
no,
about?
no,
That
no.
was
Let's-
your citation.
Let's
for,
give
No,
chance.
again,
Let's give Tom a
shut up,
chance to
Wotan.
explain why it's not.
So
in
we
his
can see
opinion.
the planets. We can see it's made of gas because it operates like gas. We can literally watch the storm on Saturn. So we can verify that just by looking at it. Another way to verify it would be to send a probe there. We can verify it just by looking at it. So we know there's a big ball in space. We know space is there, and we know NASA has sent stuff to space because we can literally see the space station. And so there's a big ball in space. We're going to call those planets, and they're covered in gas, and something is holding those together. And we can see this. This is proven. Anybody can see this with a telescope. And so whatever is doing that can also necessarily hold water on a planet. And so it could definitely hold water on our planet. So the logic there perfectly follows. We can see the gas, we can see the planets, we can see space, essentially. And something is holding the gas there. And that same something could necessarily hold the water here. Because what you asked at the beginning is how is the water on a ball in space when it's moving? Those planets are moving faster than our planet is moving in many cases. And there's gas on them that's being held there and not shooting off. And whatever's doing that could also do it on our planet. So
Thanks
to
so much.
answer your question.
Okay, and then I asked you how to falsify that, and you said that we need to send space probes
No.
to
I
these
never
planets.
said need. I never said need. So again, we can falsify that just by looking at it. We can look at the gas. We can see it. Another way
You
to
can look at
falsify
it. It doesn't mean you know that it's gas, buddy. Come on, what are you talking about, man?
we can watch it move.
It could be anything. It could be freaking. It could be absolutely anything. You don't know what it is just by looking
so it's
at
a
it. That's
moving
ridiculous.
solid. Is that it? It's just.
It could be anything. You don't know what it
No,
is.
it's
You
a
can't
gas.
make a positive assertion just by looking at something and saying what the nature of something is just by looking at it. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, we can look at what it
Scientific method to
does
prove
and
that.
say, well, what also does that? Do solids do that? No. Do liquids?
It's like
do that?
saying
No.
it's like saying, oh, I'm going to prove how a waterfall goes over a cliff, and then what's your proof? Oh, the waterfall going over the cliff. That's ridiculous. You need a scientific methodology to prove your hypothesis, don't you?
Yes. So if we look at something and if it talks like a duck and it moves like a duck and it smells like a duck, it's a duck. So
Okay, so
if
that's
we look at
induction
the
reasoning,
planets
which is
and we can
completely
look at the
logically
movement,
fallacious.
no. So again, if we can look at the
That you're
planets,
invoking induction, which is
Otan,
fallacious.
Stop, Otan. So again, if we can look at the planets, we can see the movement of the stuff on the planets. Then we can tell it's not a solid because it's moving, and we can tell it's not a liquid because of how it's moving. Because we know liquids don't move like that and solids don't move like that. So either it's a plasma, which also doesn't move like that, or it's a gas. So, I mean, there's only really one option there, and it's a gas. So, I mean, unless there's some new magical property of solids out there that we just haven't discovered yet, it's a gas.
Gotcha. Thanks so much.
Again, you cannot use observation alone to prove anything. Again, you need a scientific methodology to really understand what the observation entails. Okay. First,
Science is about
second,
observation.
excuse me.
Let's just
Second,
let
yes, you
Wotan go now.
include observation in your hypothesis, obviously, buddy, right? Because you don't look at a waterfall and say, "Oh, well, it must be this because this." No, you need a scientific methodology to prove why waterfalls exist, why waterfalls go over cliffs, right? You need a scientific methodology. You can't just look at something and be like, "Oh, well, I think." You can't just look at something and use your presupposition to confirm its conclusion. That's
There is no presupposition. So
fallacious reasoning. You understand that?
No. There is no presupposition there. Again, this is just what we can see. A presupposition is what you look at before you see anything, and so this is after we see things. So we see it, and we know how all the water, liquid, gas, and solids work, and we can see how that works, and it has a certain property, and it can't be. It's not a material. It's not a solid. Yes, that's right. So we know how solids work. We know how liquids work. We know how gases work, and we see the material on the planet, and we see how it works. And it only fits one of those three, and it doesn't fit the material one. And it doesn't fit the liquid one. Like if we look at water from a waterfall from a distance, like with the camera, we can know it's not a gas, and we can know it's not a solid because of the way it moves. So we can just look with the camera at a waterfall and know it's a liquid because of how it moves. And so we can do the same thing with the planet. We can look at the planet and know it's not a solid and not a liquid because of the way it moves. And we can do that with anything. We can look at a desert and know it's not a gas and it's not a liquid because it doesn't move. So yes, we can look at something, and then by looking at it and looking at the properties of how it interacts, we can tell what it's made of. Like, is it a solid? Is it a gas? Is it a liquid? So we can look at the planets, we can see how they move and say, oh, they're gases. Just like any scientific experiment ever, we can just compare. The properties are the same in the stuff that we're looking at as these other things that we already know about. Either it's a solid, a gas, or a liquid, or a plasma, or whatever. But we can know that when we look at the planet, it's not a solid and it's not a liquid. For the same reason, when we look at a waterfall, we can know it's not a solid and it's not a gas.
Okay.
Same science.
So So you do understand that the scientific consensus on what the planets were made of in the past has drastically changed over the years, over the centuries, right?
What the planets were made of, like
right, like what the planets were, what they were made of, has been drastically changing throughout time, throughout history of the entire world. Has always been changing. Maybe since the dawn of the scientific revolution, like people thought, like the planets were that the Venus was inhabited by fucking mystical beings and shit like that. Like people, like we didn't. The scientific consensus is always changing, right?
Sure.
So it could be that we figure out
that we could.
It could be that we figure out that tomorrow that it's not gas. That's what's comprising Jupiter. It could be something completely different. You understand that?
No, we can't. For the same reason we can't look at a
wow.
waterfall.
So scientific consensus can never change.
No, scientific consensus can change before we have good data. So like people thought the moon made of cheese before we went there, but now it's not. So we can, like, the scientific consensus on what the planets were made of before we had telescopes and could actually see what they were made of. Yeah, it was probably different. They probably thought they were solids or something, but now we can see them. So like if we look at a waterfall, like the scientific consensus can't change that it's going to suddenly discover that it's going to be a liquid, or I mean a gas, because it's a liquid. We can see it's a liquid. It operates like a liquid. It's not going to change.
But basically, all you're doing is inferring. You're not really coming up with a scientific methodology to prove what these planets are made of. You understand that? So there is no scientific experiment. Excuse me. Can I speak? Yeah, inference is not absolute truth. You can just infer. You can assume what you want. It would never lead. An inference will never lead to an absolute
science
truth.
isn't absolute truth. It never claims
exactly.
You can't
So
get to
exactly. So you're not even using the scientific method at all. You're not even using
science
that at least.
Does not get absolute truth. Science is inference.
But you're not even using the scientific method to begin with. So what you're saying is even worse.
Science
is even worse.
Inference and induction.
You're just postulating.
No, stop.
You're just postulating, aren't you?
Stop, Wotan. Shut up, Wotan. So again, science is inference and induction. So if I'm using inference and induction, that's science. So yes, I am using science. The same science that says we can look at a waterfall and see it's water is the same science we can look at a planet and see it's made of gas. So yes, I am using the exact same science, which is inference and induction.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to disagree with you. I'm going to quote Karl Popper here.
Wait,
Karl Popper. Let's quote this guy, okay? Because I agree with this guy completely. Insofar as a scientific statement speaks about reality, he says, it must be falsifiable. And insofar as it is not falsifiable, it does not speak about reality. So what you're saying is, in order for us to falsify these planets having gas around them, you need to send a satellite, and you need to trust that source.
I never said need.
You need to trust that source of the people who are sending the satellite into space, that the data that they're going to give us is going to be true and accurate, which is you're just adding another you're just adding another element to the situation, which they could be wrong, they could be lying to you, they could not be giving you the accurate data, which I've shown to you, I've conclusively proven to you that NASA is not a credible source of information, and neither are all space administrations, because I could show you pictures from JAXA, I could show you pictures from
I never said anything about any of them.
I could show you pictures.
I never said anything about any of them.
Why?
I never said anything about any of them.
These images are.
So stop, Wotan. Go back. So you mentioned Karl Popper. You said you didn't want to go into epistemology. Karl Popper is all epistemology. So when he says something is falsifiable, what that means is it can be shown to be false. It doesn't mean you can show it to be false now. It doesn't mean you can show it to be false with the current technology. It means it can potentially be shown to be false. That's all it means. So showing that the planets are made of gas is falsifiable. It would meet Karl Popper's standard of science completely. So again, science is just inference and induction, and inference and induction can't prove things, because in science you don't prove things, you just show things with evidence. The evidence indicates X. It doesn't prove X, you never prove anything. So the evidence indicates the planets are made of gas, just like the evidence indicates when we look at the water, the river, it's made of water. So the same science that can be used to indicate that a river is liquid can be used to indicate a planet is a gas, and they're both equally justified here.
See, you use very loose terms when you speak. You don't sound like someone who's really confident of your beliefs. You're using indicate and infer and assume and this, that. You're not really, you don't sound confident in your beliefs, honestly. I sound very confident in my beliefs. I know for a fact that that's not possible, because I know for a fact how gas works on Earth. I know it's not possible for gas to just orbit around an object in a vacuum, because it just doesn't work, because the gas would just fill the vacuum. That's what happens every single time, no matter what you do on Earth. That's what happens every single time, 100%, not even 99.999, no, 100% of the time. That's exactly what happens.
So again,
and you just use this observation, and you just say, "Oh well, that observation must fall in the face of every single scientific experiment that we have ever done on Earth, absolutely proving that gas from high pressure goes to low pressure every single time. But just because I look at this planet, that means that these gas laws are just completely violated and thrown out the fucking window."
No, none of them are violated. You just don't understand them. So, but again, going back to what you said. When you said that I didn't sound confident because I didn't use like big words or certainty kind of technology.
No, you're using very loose terminology, like infer and assume and this, and you don't even sound confident.
Yes, because you think sounding confident is somehow an argument that you sound confident.
No, it just seems surprising to me. Someone who's inclined to.
That's how science works, is that we use inference and induction to gain probabilities. We can never be certain about anything, which is like Thomas
Right,
Edison.
but you're not
who
even
said,
using science to begin
no,
with when
I
you're
already
talking
proved I
about the
did.
planets.
So again,
No,
science
you're
is
not.
inference and induction.
No,
I
you're
used
really not.
inference and
There's no
induction.
scientific experiment to prove anything about the gas
Science is
around
inference
the
and
planets
induction,
in
and I
space.
used inference and induction.
There is, listen, my burden of proof is the scientific experiment to prove things. Okay, so if you can't show me a scientific experiment to prove anything, I'm just not going to believe you. I'm sorry.
So I don't think you understand what science is. If you pick an object up and drop it, and you pick it up again, that's a scientific experiment. There's a testing, there's a predicting, there's an experiment.
Where's the independent and dependent variable in that experiment?
Independent variable is the thing
You're just dropping the pen.
That's correct. That's a scientific experiment. That's
Right,
how
but you don't
science
know the
works.
cause because of that, or you know that it's going to fall.
Right. So that's the point. A scientific experiment is just doing an experiment to see the results. Like the testable predictions, the making hypotheses, all those things are also other parts of scientific experiments. But scientific experiments doesn't require like exact proof of anything. That's not how science works. So science is just inference and induction. That's what it is. So if I use,
but wouldn't you say that if listen, wouldn't you say? I'll give you an analogy. Wouldn't you say that like if we had a scientific experiment on Earth to conclusively prove that these gas giants can even be feasible, even remotely possible, we could do. Let's say we had. Let's listen. Can I explain, please, before you interject?
I apologize. I wanted to clarify one thing. So you said conclusively prove. Science cannot conclusively prove anything.
Well, beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay, fair enough.
Beyond a reasonable doubt that, like, let's say we had some kind of experiment to prove beyond reasonable doubt that these gas giants can exist because this force of gravity can hold an atmosphere around this object, and we show this with a sign. Don't you think that would be a far more credible source of information than you just looking at the planet?
Well, us looking at the planet does prove that. That is.
No. But you didn't answer my question. That's not an answer to my question. I want to answer a yes or no answer.
What was the
question?
It's a yes or
no question.
What was the question?
The question is, the question is, if we had a scientific experiment to prove beyond reasonable doubt that we have this object of an extreme amount of density, let's just hypothetically talk about it, and we had this vacuum container, and we put gas inside of this vacuum container, and this atmosphere, this gas goes around this immensely dense object, and it stays there, and it doesn't immediately want to fill the vacuum. Wouldn't you say that scientific experiment is far more valid and is a far better source of information, a far better way of understanding the way the universe works versus you just taking a telescope and looking at it?
Well, that's what the scientific experiment is it's all called observation. It's like empirical observation is when you use your senses.
Yeah, but you're just not giving me a yes or no answer.
No, the answer is
it's a yes or no question.
I'm not quite sure I understand the question. So the question
I rephrased it 2 times, man. It's the second time I rephrased it. How many times do I got to make this simpler? I can't make it any simpler.
Your phrasing is really weird, so I'm not quite following. So let me try to phrase. Let me try to answer as best. I'm
gonna make it very simple.
So no, because there's a contradiction in your terms here. So if we had a scientific experiment that could verify beyond a reasonable doubt that there is a ball of gas floating in space, would that be like good evidence? Yes, and we do. It's literally us looking at it. Us looking at it is scientific proof.
So you're using the observation to prove your conclusion. Don't you understand how absolutely fallacious that is?
You're not doing an experiment. That's how all science works.
No, but I'm talking about a literal experiment. I'm not gonna tolerate your observation bullshit. Okay? I'm talking about an experiment on
I'm not
Earth.
sure what you mean here. So again, all fossils are observations.
I don't care about your 20 years in the future. I don't care about your freaking you looking in the telescope. I want a scientific experiment done on Earth, on the planet we call Earth. You do it on Earth, not in the fairyland from the land of fucking Mordor.
All right, let's give Tom a chance.
I don't care about your fucking fairy tales.
All right.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Yes. So the point is, we can look at things, and that is an experiment. So,
hold on one second.
No,
Let's just
I'm not even talking about
we gotta give him a chance to explain.
So
you're literally saying looking at something as an experiment.
We have to give him a chance to explain.
Wotan. So in science, one of the kinds of scientific tests is just looking at things. You make a prediction about how something is going to seem when you look at it, and that's the scientific experiment. For example, fossils. Like when you predict that if a fossil will be of some kind of a lineage or have some kind of be from a certain time period or whatever, you will find it in a certain specific area, and you look and you find it, and that's the experiment. So in science, one kind of science is just observation. You make a prediction about what you're going to see, and if you look and see it, that's confirmed scientific prediction. That's evidence. So yes, just looking at the planets and seeing if they are made of gas, we will expect them to look like this. We look at them and they seem like this. Yes, that's a scientific experiment that shows beyond reasonable doubt they are made of gas. Just like
you're not answering my hypothetical. You're not answering my question.
Well, I'm still not quite sure what your question is because it was something like, let me see if I
I'm
rephrase
gonna
it.
say this is gonna be the last time that I say this, and if you,
No, no,
say
let
that
me-
you don't
let me phrase it
understand
to
it,
you,
it's
and
gonna
you
be the
tell
end of
me-
the debate because then it means
let
you
me-
listen. Listen. You're a smarter guy than me. I'll admit that. Okay, but if you can't understand me, you have a problem. I don't
Well, no,
understand.
no,
I'm making this as simple as I can.
let me try to rephrase your question. Let's say your question back to you, and you tell me what I got wrong. So your question was something like, if we had a way to show beyond reasonable doubt that the planets are made of gas, that would be better than observation, something like
With
that.
a scientific experiment done on Earth that we could see, that we can know, that we can verify, that you
Right.
could show every day in schools, like you could, everyone on Earth can see it, not in some quantum mechanical fucking device that two people on Earth could even have access to go into. No, something that we could show, that we can prove on Earth. Hey kids,
Right.
look at
Yeah.
this. We have this giant vacuum container, okay, and we have this giant ball of an extremely dense material, like thousands of times more dense than lead, just for example, okay, and we put gas inside of this vacuum container, and the gas inside the vacuum container doesn't just fill the void. It doesn't just equally fill the container.
All
What
right,
it does,
so I think we've
it
gotten
goes
off the question
around
here.
this
So
object
did I get your
magically.
question right?
And
Did I get your
wow, look at
question?
that! Like we color, and we even color the gas
Wotan,
also. We make it like a purple color
Wotan,
to show you that it's going
Wotan.
around the object.
Wotan, did I get your question right? Your question was, if we have an experiment that can show that there's a ball of gas in space, that would be better than observation. Is that your question? Yes-ish,
No,
suppose?
I'm saying that if we had a scientific experiment that can be done on Earth to show beyond reasonable doubt that it is possible that
do.
gas giants in a infinite vacuum, near perfect vacuum of space
We do.
can be feasible.
We
A
do.
scientific experiment on Earth. I'm not talking
do.
about your observation. I don't care about
this is
your
what I'm not understanding.
observation.
This is what I'm not really following here, because observation is a scientific experiment.
No,
So you're
but I'm
saying-
not talking about that type of scientific experiment. I'm talking about my hypothetical scientific experiment. Do you
Okay,
understand?
okay. So you want a different scientific experiment.
Yes. I want something besides observation. Observation is like the worst form of proof you could possibly imagine. It's just the observation can be tricked, can be deceived all the time.
Okay.
Buddy, what are you talking about?
Still not. So every form of science is observation.
That's the baseline. You use an observation, right?
Yeah.
Then you come up with a hypothesis to prove how that observation works, right?
What?
And then you perform a scientific experiment to conclusively prove beyond a reasonable doubt whether your hypothesis is true or not, correct?
Right.
You don't
yes,
just use
yes.
observation.
Correct.
That's so stupid. What are you
yeah,
talking
right.
about?
I think I get what you're
You
saying.
don't
now.
just use observation
All right,
to prove anything. That's
the
absurd.
scientific experiment that we would do to confirm that the planets are made of gas is that we would like look at the patterns or put gas in a filter or some kind of a container or something. We put
A
liquid
giant
in the
vacuum
container.
chamber.
Hold on,
to simulate the vacuum
Wotan.
of
No,
space.
Wotan, we have to let him finish, Wotan.
So again, we can take all of the different kinds of matter, plasma, liquid, solid, gas. We can put them in a container. We can see how they interact with each other, and we can compare which one of these kinds of interactions is like the interactions that we see on the planets, and whichever one is the most similar is going to be the one that the planet is. So that's the scientific experiment we can do here on the planet. Anybody can do it. You can just put the gas in a container, put the water in a container, put the solid in a container, watch them, see which one operates similar to the planet, and say, okay, so we can verify the planet is made of this one. And when we do that, well, we see it's a gas.
You're not understanding the distinction between you saying that it's a gas and you saying that the gravity can hold the
I didn't say
atmosphere.
gravity. I didn't say
But
gravity.
that's what. Why did you think that I invoked the immensely dense object inside the vacuum chamber? Because I wanted to implicate that gravity has to be shown to be strong enough to hold an atmosphere against the vacuum.
Well, remember, my
That's the
argument
nature of my
was-
experiment. I'm not
remember-
talking about just looking at the
Right,
gas
right.
in a chamber.
So remember, my argument, what I said is that we can look at space, we can see
Again,
the planet.
no, this is over. This is done.
Well,
This is
let's-
done.
So
We could
We're
just-
going to go to the next topic.
we can
No,
give-
because you're not understanding.
No,
You're being very
I'm
deceptive.
not.
We can
trying
give
to
him
be
a-
Deceptive.
let's
deceptive.
give him
using
just a couple
You're
sentences.
not understanding my question. I
One
asked you a
second.
yes
I
or
agree.
no
I'm not
question.
understanding your question.
And
Wotan.
you keep invoking the observation.
Wotan,
I told
let's
you
just
I don't care about
Wotan.
your observation
Wotan.
for my hypothetical.
Wotan. Give me just. I'm begging
So-
you, so that I don't. Just let's give Tom just a summary, just to clarify what he meant. Just a
He's just
quick.
going to repeat himself, James.
We just well, it's
Totally
a summary is kind of in a way that way, but it's going to be a short and pithy summary.
You want to
So
bet $100 right now? He just repeats himself. The same thing
That's
that he's
what
been saying for the past
summary
5
means.
minutes.
Summary means repeat.
I think he's
yes.
just trying to clarify something that he thinks was misunderstood. So it's,
But what's
that's
the
all
point
he's
of letting him talk if he's just going to repeat himself, James?
because
You
I
just
think
beat
that
him
he
for a
is.
minute?
I think he's repeating himself because he felt like he wasn't understood the first time. So it's
I
it's
understand
fair.
everything that he's saying, James. You understand that? I understand what he's saying.
So
He's invoking the
hold on.
observation.
Let's just let Tom explain
right.
where he thinks the misconnection is. Like I would do the same for you, Wotan. I just want to give Tom the same treatment.
So in an argument, you're only allowed to criticize the things that are in the argument. You can't criticize things that are not in the argument because it's a straw man. So my argument was just that. So we can see things in space and like the satellites and stuff, and we can see planets in space, and we can see the planets are made of gas, and we can see something is holding them together. We don't know what it is. I didn't say anything about what it is. I didn't say anything about gravity. I can say we can see planets. We can see they're made of gas, and we know gas is less dense than water, so it's going to be harder to hold the gas on the planet than it is to hold the water on the planet. And we can see something is holding the gas on the planet. So I didn't say anything about what it is. I made no claims here. We can just see that there are planets covered in gas and something is holding it there.
Tom, we just need to
That's
speak a little bit
something,
louder.
and
Hold
that-
on, Tom. One sec, Wotan. Tom, they cannot hear you. You're making a fool of yourself.
God damn
Please
it.
talk
It's all
louder.
James's fault. Why do you have me muted, James? God.
Oh,
So
Tom, nasty guy.
so-
Go ahead.
maybe because they say they can't hear me, like I don't know. So again, we can see a planet and we can see in space, we can see the planet, we can see it's covered in gas, and we know something is holding the gas there. We don't know what it is yet. I haven't made no argument about gravity. I just said there is a planet in space. It is a ball. It's covered in gas. We can see the gas there, and something is holding it there. And we know whatever that something is, which I haven't said anything about yet, that same something can also hold the water on Earth. Now, I don't care about gravity. I haven't said anything about forces. I haven't said anything about the capabilities of whatever this thing is. I just said that we can see it holds the gas there. Therefore, it can necessarily hold the water here. So the amount of force of gravity, I don't need it. I can just see that it's doing this, and it necessarily is doing this. Therefore, it can necessarily hold the planet here, hold the water on our planet. I mean, so I don't need any reference to math here. I don't need any reference to show that to demonstrate that this thing has a certain force or certain speed that it can hold gas or water together, because we can see it doing it. We know for a fact that it's doing it. We don't know how.
Okay.
One sec.
I understand.
Wotan, I can give you a short, pithy response, and then if you want, we can
Oh.
change subjects. But it
I
sounds
get the
like
short, and you give him 5 minutes. I got a short, pithy response now.
I told him to be short and pithy too. So
That was
Well,
one
I'm going to
minute.
be short and pithy, and according to his short and pithy is going to be my short and pithy. Okay, so number one, you have a world. I don't want to
and
hear
then we are
nothing
going
what
to
you're
move
going to
on to
say.
the next subject, by the way, because this
Okay, yeah,
we're
sure.
getting bogged down here.
Sure. Okay, so I don't care what this guy says at all. Okay, he has to believe in gravity, because there's no way that the Earth is round without gravity. Okay, so if you believe that the Earth is round, you must believe in gravity, because there is nothing else in the universe to make planets round naturally.
so you believe
This
in
doesn't
gravity?
work. There
You
has
believe
to
in
be
gravity?
gravity. You understand that? Okay, so
No,
you believe in
that's
gravity,
wrong. No,
and
that's
you
wrong.
have to believe
Hold on, I
that
do wanna give
gravity
Wotan
is
a chance.
causing the atmosphere of the gas in Jupiter and all these other gas giants to be held to them and not just dissipate into the vacuum instantaneously, like every single experiment that we do on Earth proves that. Okay, so you have to believe in gravity. You cannot tell me that the
No,
Earth is
no,
round.
I
you're,
don't.
you're on the globe position. You're on the globe side. You're trying to prove that the Earth is round. If you're trying to prove that the Earth is round, you must believe in
No, you
gravity.
don't.
There is no
you don't.
there's nothing
One sec.
to
Let's
be
let
said.
him
That's
go.
it. You have to believe in gravity. You understand that? So
No,
it
you
has to be
don't.
gravity that's doing that. Can you demonstrate that can happen with gravity on Earth? No, you can't, because I even asked Red's Rhetoric this, and what did he say? Red's Rhetoric, one of the top YouTube flat Earth debunkers that's on YouTube. What did he say? He said, "Oh well, you need a planet the size of Earth." Well, you're just fucking full of shit, aren't you?
Okay.
So you kept saying over and over again that you need to believe in gravity to believe the world is round. No, you don't. You don't need to have any belief in gravity. The people who discovered the world was round didn't know that it was caused by gravity. Like those are two separate theories here. So we can observe that the planet is the other planets we look at. We can see they're round, and we can see there's gas around them. We don't need at all to explain why.
So
We
you
can
don't
just-
believe
we
in
can
gravity?
See it. No, I do, but that's not part of my argument. So again,
Okay,
remember,
so you're a Poe right now. You're acting
no,
like a Poe.
no.
You're
So
invoking the
again,
position that you don't hold yourself.
No. Again, so the way in an argument, the best thing to do is you want to make it as simple as possible and have the least premises to make it as simple as possible.
And then the
That's
flat
the
Earth
goal.
wins in that
So-
debate 100%
so,
every time.
So again, my argument is just that we can see in space, we can see the planets, we can see they're round, we can see they're covered in gas. Something is causing that. I don't need to say anything about what it is. I don't care what it is. We know that something can do that. What we're looking at, it can do that. which necessarily means it can cause the water on Earth to stay on Earth because it can do that. So I don't like that's as simple as it needs to be. I don't need to say gravity exists. I don't need to say it has a certain force. I can just say that we see something that could cause a ball in space that is bigger than the planet, and it is covered in gas, and it holds the gas on the planet. And whatever is doing that, necessarily, it can also do it here. So I don't need to make an argument of gravity. I can just say we can see it doing it there, which necessarily means it could do it here. That's it. That's the only argument I need to make. And what you're trying to argue is for a much more specific argument that doesn't matter, because even if I grant gravity doesn't exist, we don't know what this thing is. It's just something. We can see it happening there, so it necessarily can happen here. That's it. That's my argument.
And there's not a scientific experiment that proves anything that you're saying. Every scientific experiment flies in the face of every single observation that you're talking about right now. Let's go to the next. Let's go to water around the Earth.
We have
I guess.
Very minimal
we're not
time.
water around the Earth. Well, I think that was touching on both of my points, honestly. So, obviously he hasn't brought any evidence to prove that I already knew what he was going to try to do. He obviously has to get into epistemology, and as we know, even if you were to prove epistemologically that my reasoning for me believing that the Earth is flat is wrong, it doesn't mean that the Earth.
A new subject though.
Well, you said we didn't have much time.
Can I just make this point, please? Even if you were to try to epistemologize,
just to in the interest of hold on,
just at the end of my point.
Let me explain just that it's going to have to be the case that we'll give Tom the last word because we did have you start Wotan. So like that's just what we always do. So I just want to give you a heads up.
Sure,
so
I just want to nail down his framework of this whole entire debate.
My framework.
So now I even told James because when he told me that you wanted to debate me, I had obviously I had to do a little research into. I had to look up into how you like to debate, and I already knew that you weren't going to present any evidence whatsoever for the globe Earth. I already knew 100% certain that you're not going to bring anything whatsoever. And even in the before we went live, you said that you weren't going to present anything because I knew that because all you want to do is epistemologically prove that my reasoning may be faulty. But let's say, just for argument's sake, that you would approve that my reasoning for me believing that the Earth is flat is wrong. It doesn't mean, number one, that it's not flat, and number two, it doesn't mean that it's round. So your framework for this entire debate is just erroneous. It makes it's useless. It doesn't matter at all. You have no evidence to prove that it's round.
We will let
all you have is epistemologic, type of framework. You just want to try to prove that my reasoning is wrong.
We're going to give Tom the last word.
Yes, it is.
Which is
you have no
customary.
evidence. You said it before the debate started. You have no evidence.
All right, we're going to give Tom the last word to do his closing statement, then going into Q&A, folks. So if you have a question, forgot to mention, feel free to fire your questions into the live chat. We've got a lot already. So one thing. Oh wait, I think this happened yesterday too. By the way,
I'm like forgetting everything he said. So can I just do my?
Go ahead.
Ending. So what I said at the beginning was I didn't prepare anything because I didn't prepare anything. But I didn't say I wasn't going to present evidence. So I did present evidence. I specifically said we can see a planet in space covered in gas, and we know something is doing that, which necessarily means we can explain the same thing doing it on Earth. That's the evidence. I didn't bring up anything in epistemology. You brought up Karl Popper, and I just responded to that, but that was the only epistemology at all brought into the conversation. Like if I was trying to debunk the structure of your argument, that would be epistemology. And I didn't do that at all. So I deliberately avoided epistemology here. So my evidence was obviously that if we can see a planet in space covered in gas and something's doing that, then we know it can do it here. I mean, that's like as indecisive and what closest proof as you can possibly get. I'm not sure what his argument was. He just brought up gravity. So he didn't seem to be refuting the fact that there's a planet, we know it's gas, and something's holding it together. I mean, that's all you need. If you grant there is a planet in space, it's covered in gas, and something is holding it in a ball shape, I mean, that's the argument. That means that it can also do it for Earth. So if we grant that is the case, well, then that proves it can be the case for Earth. That's all you need.
There is no absolute foundation for knowing that it's gas around you.
Q&A, Wotan. So we will go into Q&A. Thanks so much, folks, for your questions. It's been a wild one, folks. It really has. It always is. It's been very fun. Just to give you a quick heads up, I think we can get through all of the, we might be able to get through all the questions. It's close at this point. So warning, because this happened yesterday and I'm so sorry. I honestly, it's just that we want to respect the time of the debaters, especially when we usually do this at night. sometimes we don't even get to read all the super chats. So just a heads up. Like sometimes that does happen. It's not usual, but we're gonna try to fly through these as fast as possible. Thanks so much for your super chat, Steven Steen, who said, "Rooting for your first win tonight ever, Tom. You can do it." Looks like you got some support out there, Tom. That's great.
I'm rooting for that first hair on your head. It's coming. It can do it.
Oh, no. He's got a beautiful head. Okay. Dwayne Berg, thanks for your super chat. He said, if T-Jump's chair was on Tinder, I'd swipe right. Thanks, very nice. Yes, he does have. Look at it. He's in the clamshell chair. We love that. That's terrific, Tom. Let's see. Next up, Stupid Whore Energy. Thanks for your super chat. She said to... Congrats. So she said this when I announced that Barbosa or Steve McRae would be back at the helm of the Black Pearl, known as the Non Sequitur Show. She said, congrats, Steve McDaddy. Yes, we all like to call him Big Daddy. So Big Papa Steve. Dwayne Burke, thanks so much for your other super chat. He said, shout out to Nathan, the third foster Wotan, shout out to Nathan, Wotan's uncle. Just abbreviated it. Do you know Nathan Thompson, Wotan?
Yes, I do know him. I mean, I don't really talk with him, but I know who he is.
Would you guys do you think that you guys would make a heck of a tag team?
Sure.
That would be an epic one, anyway. So, thanks so much. Next up, Steven Steen. Thanks for your super chat. He said, Tom, it could be some unknown natural cause, though.
It could be. You got me, Steven. Oh, God.
So, they're like brothers. Do you remember when we did the Flat Earth debate in Dallas? Steven and Tom were in person. I saw them face to face, and they saved the day. With our tech stuff, they really did. So appreciate that.
And the location.
They're like twin brothers. Okay, Tom, we've heard enough. Thy Messenger, thanks for your super chat. They said, TJump, isn't it a big deal that NASA fakes their official pictures? How do you just ignore that? What's your response to those fake pictures?
They admit it. They specifically say we modify these pictures, and it's a little watermark in the bottom right-hand corner.
I love it. You know what's funny? Can I just touch on that a second? Can I just touch on that a second?
Really short.
Just for a second. Just for a second.
Really short.
So I got into a debate with this graphical artist, whatever, and he's just trying to steel man me on the position as to why, NASA would make these images look so fake. And you know why they make them look so fake is because they want that exact response from this guy. Because no matter what NASA does, NASA can literally put a fucking banana in the front of the Earth, and there's going to be some justification from some stupid globist. They're going to say, oh, well, maybe they were eating a banana in the space station. They're going to come up with some stupid justification to prove that image is real. So no matter what NASA does, no matter how fake they make their images, there's always going to be an excuse from the globers to say why it's real. So it doesn't matter what they put out there. They can literally put a turd on top of the fucking Earth. It doesn't matter. Right. So they're making them look more fake and more fake and more fake because at some point it's just not going to matter no more.
Just to keep moving.
They do it to make it look pretty. That's to make money. That's the kind of.
No, the ELA signature shits all over the globe. I just took a hot steaming crap all over the globe with the ELA signature.
What? Why?
Okay. They're fake.
Let's go to the next. So, let's see. Appreciate your question, super chat. Travis Lee. Good to see you. You've all seen Travis. He's been on here before. He said, I meant to put my question for Wotan on does he believe in the ancient Near Eastern cosmology of a hard dome with stars embedded in it?
I have no idea. I don't make claims to things that I don't know.
Gotcha. Philip. Oh, gosh, Philip. I'm so sorry. Philip. Can we just call you Cool Phil? That's a cool nickname. Philip, thanks for your question. He said, for Wotan, what is it that actually bothers you about the theory that the Earth is round? Do you think that NASA has some malicious motive to lie to you about the shape of the Earth?
I don't have a problem if the Earth is round. If you could demonstrate to me that tomorrow that the Earth is round, and honestly, my appreciation for the Carl Sagan series, what is it called, Star Cosmos, would be. I love that TV series. It was just that's the most fantastic, amazing TV series that I've ever seen in my life. Even to this day, as a flat Earth, I love that show. So my imagination of the entire universe would be reinvoked, and I'll be like, wow, space really is that fucking amazing. There are billions of light years across, and all of these supermassive black holes and enormous Betelgeuse-sized stars that are millions of times the size of our sun. And wow, that's freaking fantastic. I would love it. You kidding me? I would love for the Earth to be round, but you can't demonstrate it because there's no scientific experiment, literal, physical, scientific experiment that you can demonstrate to me on Earth in person to prove that the Earth is round. It doesn't exist. And then I'm going to invoke Karl Popper here. I just discovered this guy the other day.
So we can keep moving.
Yeah. If you can't falsify it, it's not true. Basically, that's it.
Thanks so much. Appreciate that. Next up, appreciate your super chat from... Got that. Thanks so much. Alice Stockholm, appreciate your question. She says, Wotan sounds like Christopher Walken did helium and also did bath salts. It's a red flag when even jungle jargon knows that the Earth is spherical. Wotan,
yeah, just more condescending, stupid bullshit from the Globers. That's all they have. That's all they ever do. That's all anybody in the chat ever does. They just want to look for the memes. They just want to try to be funny because they have no arguments themselves. So what they try to do is they try to make you look stupid. Oh, he sounds like this, and oh, he looks like that, and they just want to fucking talk stupid because they just project their own insecurity and their own idiocy to the world.
We've got to keep
whenever they make a comment like that.
But one thing I have to say, folks. One thing I do appreciate about Wotan is he knows how to take an insult. Like, I love that he's just like, I don't care, whatever, I don't care.
If I'm going to tell you what I do, I have a whole, I stream. I don't know if I want to say if I stream.
Next
but
one.
I don't want to give you guys where I stream or what I stream on. But that's basically what my whole channel is about. Is people trolling me, so I'm used to it.
Gotcha. We appreciate that. Next up, appreciate your super chat from Stupid Whore Energy, as she likes to be called. Nasty. Sarah, thanks for your... She says, the Earth was flat until James looked in its direction, then it rolled into a ball. That's very sweet. That's like, gosh, are you like... You and Steven Steen partnering up now. Steven Goodwin, thanks for your super chat. He said, ask Wotan if he knows why water swirls in the opposite direction in the southern hemisphere as opposed to the northern hemisphere.
You could just change. This has been done. This is like the oldest globe Earth argument that exists on the face of the Earth. The fact that he's saying this is just indicative of his just ignorance. Like, you could just make the bowl a different shape and it just swirls a different direction. It just doesn't even matter. Like, it doesn't prove anything. That's not conclusive proof that the Earth is round. That's absurd because water swirls down in a different direction. What the hell does that mean? It doesn't mean anything.
Gotcha.
Show me that the Earth is round.
Gotcha. Kamakiri 700. Thanks for your super chat. They said, by the way, Ronald Mendanka and then Kamakiri, I saw you had two super chats. I don't know if you shot a blank there or if you were just making a donation to the channel, in which case, either case, thanks. If you did accidentally not get your question into that super chat, just shoot it into the live chat as a normal question and I'll read it like it's a super chat. Kamakiri, thanks for your other one though. They said, Wotan, you missed out on a great learning opportunity, but you were too thick to realize it. Nothing more unpleasant than an arrogant dullard. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm sorry.
What learning opportunity? All he did was he kept invoking observation as a definitive proof of, this mystical force of gravity that can hold an atmosphere to the Earth. No, that doesn't happen. Sorry. Show me a scientific experiment. Observation is not an experiment. It's just observation.
Hold on 1 second. Dullard. That's how you say the word. Okay, thanks so much. Next up, appreciate it. Area 85 restorations. Sorry, Wotan, I was not trying to call you a dullard. They said, why do flat earthers only attack NASA when there are many other space agencies?
What do you mean? You could attack any space agency. The thing is, NASA has like really the most realistic quote unquote looking images. When you look at JAXA and the Chinese Space Administration and the Indian, have you seen the images from the Indian Space Administration? It's ridiculous. Anybody who believes this, you just literally, you have you have like your brain weighs 1 ounce. Like you just look at it and you just know instantaneously that it's fake. It's just the fakest thing you've ever seen in your whole life. I played too many video games. You're not going to tell me that these are real. They're fake. You look at it and it's fake. Period. End of story. Next.
Gotcha. Thanks so much. Tom, if you want to, just because all the questions are pretty much for Wotan, if you want to give any sort of response, you can. You don't have to, but.
Sure. I like cheese.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Thomas. Next up, appreciate your super chat from, by the way, I didn't know that there was a JAXA. That's the Japanese version of NASA?
Yes.
Okay. Seriously, that's cool. Didn't know that. Slick Wild Nick, thanks for your super chat. They said, Wotan, learn to not interrupt, motor mouth. globe.
I'm going to interject when he just he can't be a yes or no answer. I ask him a yes or no answer, and he just wants, observation. Look at my telescope, and okay, show me that in real life. Show me that now, on Earth, right now. Not 20 years in the future. 20 years, we can go to space and we can see. No, now, right now. Do it now. You can't do it. You got to invoke the future. You got to invoke the fairyland. You got to invoke fucking Mordor. You can't do the globes have no model. They have no model for reality. They're deluded.
Well, let's see. Appreciate your super chat that just came in. Spike Smith. Hopefully I'm saying that right. They said, has Wotan ever looked in a telescope in his life?
Yeah, when I was, 10 years old.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. Next up, appreciate your question from, we had just, Thy Messenger. I saw you just shot a blank. If that was, let me know if you have a question to go along with that. Otherwise, appreciate your question, Travis Lee. Question for Wotan. Do you believe that the sky is a hard... Oh, we get... Yes, that Travis. Okay. Akira's Kizanidi. Thanks for your question. They said, for Wotan, why does he keep bringing up NASA? NASA isn't the only space agency from Earth. Oh, I think... Did we already get that? Yeah, we did. Sorry about that.
Well, if you can invoke us going to the moon, there's only one organization on Earth who has ever gone to the moon, and that is NASA. So you cannot use them as a credible source of anything when I can demonstrably prove that the images from the moon are fake. So therefore, you cannot invoke NASA as a source of anything whatsoever. You can't say, we could send satellites. Oh, who's going to send the satellites to Jupiter? Whoever sent satellites to Jupiter? The only one that's ever done that is NASA, to my knowledge, right? So the only ones who you could trust is NASA, but I just showed you conclusively proven that the images from NASA are fake with the ELA signature. That proves that it's fake. I showed you what a real image looks like, and I showed you what a fake image looks like. And every single image that I showed you shows that it's fake. Therefore, NASA's full of shit. Next.
Gotcha. Do you remember the first time we had Wotan here and he kept saying ding? I don't know. It's a good memory. Okay.
No, that was Team Skeptic. Team Skeptic, the little child. He actually
All right, brought
a bell to Nathan Thompson's debate. What a child.
Hold on a second. We're not going to let you. We're not going to. Hold on. I'm muting you. I don't want to. This is something I've had bad experiences with in the past when debaters challenge, to put it nicely, other debaters who aren't here to defend themselves. So we have to keep moving. I couldn't hear you. It sounded like you said Team Skeptic is a gentleman and a scholar. So we'll keep going with that.
Yeah, sure.
Hold on. It's like, all right, don't do it. Hovind got mad at me the other time because after we tried to keep going with Q&A after Hovind left, and Professor Dave said a couple of things about Hovind that Hovind didn't like, and to be honest, it's kind of my fault. I should have just wrapped it up. But so we're trying to. We also. I think that's okay. Long story short, let me keep going. Thanks for your question from Thy. We have a few more. Nathan Foster. They said now answer. Okay, so they said does water contain metal? Wotan and Tom.
Well, some of water does, not all water. Like contains particles of metal.
What about you, Wotan?
I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
And then they say. Now, let's see. They said obvious answer would be that it's not, and that it doesn't. So why does the moon act like a magnet in terms with the tides?
Gravity.
Oh, so you do believe in gravity?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. But minutes ago you said that it wasn't gravity that makes the atmosphere adhere to the planets. Wow, that's interesting.
No, I said I didn't need that for the argument. I just.
Oh, wow! Now you're invoking gravity. Wow! But before 2 seconds ago, you were saying that it didn't exist.
No, I said there was something.
Not that it didn't exist. Excuse me. I don't want to straw man you, but you were saying that you didn't need gravity to prove anything. But now you're invoking gravity. That's
You don't need to believe in gravity to believe the world is round.
Okay, beautiful. Then you have an alternate explanation for that?
Yeah, there's lots
your
of
imagination.
You really? Say God did it. That would be an alternate explanation.
Oh God! Wow, that's a wonderful explanation.
Hold on one sec. Thy Messenger, thanks for your super chat. They said TJump, Flat Earth Brothers, who we've had on before, that terrific guys, friendly chaps. They said they have official NASA astronaut videos of them using wire harnesses and fake CGI microphones and CGI contacts, actually going through one of their necks.
Did he die? Because if he went through his neck, he probably would have died.
See, now you got to be facetious. See, this is what the Globers do. They got to be facetious, or they got to be condescending.
Now look what you've done.
That's all they have.
You put a quarter in Wotan. Nathan Foster.
Can you answer a question without being facetious?
All right, Nathan.
One question.
No, I want a genuine response to that, please. I want a genuine response.
Well, I know he was being he was kind of being facetious, but
No, I'm not going to tolerate his facetious bullshit. I want a genuine response to that.
Can I answer a question seriously? Yes.
Yes.
okay.
That's a serious answer. Yes.
That's
okay,
it. Wow,
answer.
just another facetious answer. Another non-answer.
Tom's question to the iMessenger is, did they, like, if it went through their neck, did they die? Let me make sure I'm saying this right. Them using wire harnesses and fake CGI mics and CGI contacts actually going through one of their necks. Yeah, I don't know how to interpret that.
I mean, I have videos right now showing that they're pulling on wires. You could literally see the wire. You see the wire.
Nathan Foster, thanks for your question. They said TJump's chair has enough buoyancy and density to refloat the Titanic single-handedly. Now that's something.
It does. It's true.
It does. The clamshell chair is inspiring philosophy calls it the clamshell chair. I like that. There's Chef Alan. Thanks for your question. He said, I have started astrophotography. Ask Wotan, does he think I'm faking my photos?
I don't know who the hell you are. I don't know.
Gotcha. Feisty. Thanks so much. Let's see. We do have one. Kamakiri 700, thanks for your question. They said, Wotan, do you know the difference between an outside voice and an inside voice, or do you just have one unending stream of complete drivel?
No, I'm just a hard solipsist. I just think I'm like, I'm just God. That's all. I don't know.
Gotcha. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. Next up, let's see. I think we got Chef Allen. Chef Allen says, why is Wotan asking for proof without showing any evidence himself?
Beautiful. I would love to touch on that. That's exactly what I wanted to touch on. So, number one, I don't need a single shred of evidence whatsoever to demonstrate that the Earth is flat. Nothing. I don't need anything at all. You know why? Because you go outside and you see that the horizon is flat and at eye level. You go in a hot air balloon, flat and at eye level. You go in an airplane, same thing. You look at footage on YouTube of hot air balloons helium balloons going 128,000 feet up in the air, flat and at eye level. You feel no motion. Therefore, the simplest explanation, I've been saying this for 5 years. Everybody who knows me knows my shtick already, okay? You cannot escape it. The simplest explanation to explain our observed reality is that the Earth is flat and motionless. It requires no assumptions whatsoever. Zero. I don't need to prove that to you. You can go outside and just look, just like TJump said. Remember when TJump said that you could just invoke observation to prove everything? Well, there you go. You could just look outside. You see that the horizon is flat and at eye level. That's it. So if you're going to tell me that we're on a sphere, you need to prove it. That's the burden of proof is on you. And I'll give you a quick analogy. Like I said in my last debate, I'll give you a quick analogy. If we were to go outside, let's say the Earth is 100 times the less of a diameter. Let's say the diameter of the Earth is 100 times less than what we know it to be. If you were to go outside, you would see the rotundity of the Earth everywhere. You would see it everywhere. You would look like you're on a giant basketball, right? And then some guy comes up to you and he's like, oh, well, you know what? The Earth is flat. Well, the burden of proof is on you, isn't it, jackass? I don't need to prove shit.
All right, gotcha. Thank you for that.
The horizon is flat, therefore it's flat. Burden of proof is on you. I don't need to prove anything whatsoever. Nothing.
Next up, Mario Nascimento says otherwise. He's got a super chat that he just sent in. Thanks for that, Mario. He says, Wotan, if there's no gravity, why do things fall down instead of going upwards? Or, hold on, it's not done yet. And they say in parentheses, air above is less dense too. And then they say, all around for that matter, the air is less dense. So why is it that if there's no gravity, why do things fall down instead of going upwards?
Well, you're just invoking that there's this magical force of gravity, which is bending space-time. That's another one of my arguments. Gravity, you have to understand that gravity entails that space and time are bending because of mass alone. So mass alone is creating a force. That's what you have to believe. You have to literally believe that just an object is creating its own force because it's bending space-time. Space is a concept. The space is an absence of something. Space is not something that is tangible whatsoever. You cannot touch space. Space is simply the absence of something. It's like a shadow. Shadow is the absence of light. You can't bend shadows. You can't bend dreams. You can't bend fucking love. Okay? It is a concept that exists in our mind only. You cannot reify space and time and bend it. Time is a measurement. That's all time is.
Thank you.
So gravity is just bullshit from the get-go.
Thank you. Verilian, thanks for your question. They said, the simplest explanation is your eyes lie to you. I'm not sure which question that refers to, though. Let's see. Sorry about that. Forgive me if I should have been able to connect the dots on that. I feel like usually the debaters can. I'm sitting in idle here, so my brain's not moving as fast. Let's see. Next up, Randolph Richardson, our good buddy. Glad to see ya, old chap. He says, what is Wotan's opinion about Space Force, the recent U.S. government stuff? And does he think it will bring back evidence that our Earth is actually flat? And then in parentheses, he says, I'm a glober.
I'm honestly not, I don't know what this Space Force is. I don't really watch the news or TV or anything, so I'm not really.
It's a Donald Trump reference.
Donald Trump started the Space Force.
A Space Force?
Yeah, he's like the fourth branch of the military, apparently.
Is this really you trolling?
No, I'm serious. I'm 100% serious. I totally wish I was trolling. It's absolutely hilarious.
Gotcha.
So what, he's going on this meme of Star Wars with Space Force?
Yes, he is. It's, oh my God.
I'm telling you right now, guys, I mean, it's literally like we're living. I'm convinced that the movie Idiocracy, has anybody seen the movie Idiocracy? It's literally a biography.
What was it?
It's 100% of a biography. I mean, you can agree. We can agree on something, TJump. Wow.
Yeah, for sure. What was the president's name? Muchacho? President?
Muchacho, yeah. Muchacho. Oh, man.
Gotcha. All right, we'll talk about Muchacho later. Let's see. Alan H. was saying about his super chat, he said, observations are not always true. That's okay. They were saying that's what the super chat was saying. The super chat was saying about that one about observations.
It's true. Yeah. Observations are not always true. Correct.
Gotcha. Thank you. And I think that we have gotten to all the questions. Thank you so much, folks. We appreciate it. It's been a true pleasure. And we are going to wrap up. So thanks so much. We hope you guys have a great night. Want to let you know again that these gentlemen's links are in the description. So if you're like, I want more. Well,
my link isn't.
Okay, yeah, I know. Last time you just gave me a picture of you gave me a link to a picture of a satellite in the sky.
No. Just Google satellites in space. That's what you got to do.
All right, I will get the last link that Wotan gave me, and I will put it in the description. It is I'll let him describe it.
Most unbiased search term that you can possibly put into Google. Satellites in space. Every single image is fake. Every single one. There's not a single real image there. Nothing. They're all fake.
Gotcha.
But we can send satellites. We can send satellites, and we could prove, yeah, but they're all fake though. That's too bad for that. Can't even show me a real image of a satellite. It's funny.
Gotcha. Got some gusto tonight. Let's see. Just want to be sure that you got all those questions. Thanks so much, folks. Appreciate it. Let's see.
Steven Steen should make a fake profile on Twitter for my chair. Just make it Tom's chair, TJump's chair.
Oh, you're right. Hold on. Nathan did read. He did send in a super chat that I missed. In fact, there was one that was teasing me too. Let me. Nathan Foster, thanks so much. They said Neil deGrasse Tyson is Tom Jump's chair's brother.
Yep, you can see the family resemblance.
Appreciate that. Next up, we also had who is this? Where is this person? Oh, Duke Davidson, because I called stupid whore energy. I called her nasty. I call her nasty all the time though. But he says, James, please stop shaming sex workers. They are not quote unquote nasty, even ones made of super energy. Well, as a general rule, I would not say they're nasty. Just stupid whore energy. She's just nasty. But no, we love her. We do love her. She's terrific. She's honestly, you know what she does sometimes? Can I give credit where it's due? Sarah sometimes actually reaches out to doctorates and will say hey, do you want to come on Modern Day Debate? She has been extremely helpful. So just a super kind person. And with that, I want to say thanks so much to our guests for being here. They're linked in the description. I'm getting Wotan's satellite picture. I'm going to put that in the description. So for those of you who are waiting for it, don't worry. It's coming in just one moment. And with that, any last words before we go off air, gentlemen?
I'd like to know if you got a Discord server or something, TJump?
Yeah, I do. It's in the link of any of my YouTube videos. Yeah, you can join. Please do. I'm happy to talk with you.
Cool. Yeah, no, I love talking about this kind of stuff.
Sure.
It's interesting.
It's always fun, folks. And let's see. What would you like me to put this as in the description? Just Wotan, because they get confused. Sometimes they'll be like, James, Wotan's link is just a picture of satellites. So what do you want me? Should I put something I want to annotate this? What do I put next to it?
I could put my Twitch channel, but I don't know if I want all the trolls on my Twitch channel.
No one would ever troll you, Wotan. Wotan. Okay.
Oh no. You know what? My whole
What's-
channel is based on that. But these kind of trolls would be like the actual vitriolic kind of trolls. So I don't think I want that kind of energy on my stream. So
I put Wotan's picture that he wants people to see. Is that fair?
my picture that I want people to see.
Yeah.
Just like the description of the link is what he's saying.
I guess, yeah, sure.
All right. Thank you very much. Folks, it's always fun. We are excited for a lot of debates coming up. It's honestly going to be a blast. So we've got, like, honestly, I'm really excited about the future. Thanks so much, you guys. You have no idea. The speakers and the audience make this channel a blast. Like, I honestly just love getting to do this. And so thanks so much for making it fun all the time, you guys. It's honestly, and also thanks so much for the support. When you guys say nice things, it's like, that means so much. I appreciate it. And so with that, well, take care, everybody. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. It's been a pleasure.